If you love your job, don't ever retire. Yeah, I know it's a retirement channel, but guys, if you really love your job, why do you need to retire? You don't. You can get all the socialization, all the cognitive pluses from remaining in the workforce. If you really love your job, you don't need to retire, right? I mean, for some people, retirement is the end all be all, right? But don't try and make happy better than happy, okay? If you're happy, leave it at that, right? And if you love your job, stay with it. So you might be wondering what kind of jobs we talking about. How can people love their jobs so much? I've got 12 different examples that I got from Reddit that I'll get to in a couple minutes here. But first, if you do love your job and plan on never retiring, make sure that you have a plan B set up. What do I mean by that? Well, here's what I mean. Guys, you never know. There are so many examples every single day of people that get hit by some serious illness and they can't work anymore, right? It could be they lost a member of their family, a spouse or something, and they just don't feel like working anymore. That can happen at any time. So even though you love your job, make sure you are still saving as if you're going to retire, okay? You want to have that plan B in case something happens. So here's my story with my job. When I was working in the music industry for 20 years, man, I got laid off in 2010. Okay, but if I was still there, I would not be retired now. Why? Number one, it was a great place. It was a fun place to work. And I had so much fun there and after work because we could go see all our bands and drink for free any night of the week we wanted to. We were a huge company. It was just the most fun I've ever had. I was probably at my happiest for an extended period of time during those 20 years. Of course, there were always, there's ups and downs. But I'm telling you guys, the ups so far outweighed the downs. I would still be working there if I still had my job. I would not be retired. Okay? Second reason, music is an emotional product. You're sad, you put on music. You're happy, you put on music. You're in between, you put on music. I love to be part of a group, a company, an industry that was our product. We put that out to the masses. To be able to have that as your product, that gave me a good purpose. That I'm providing people with an emotional product that can lift them up when they're down, can make them feel melancholy, whatever it is. To me, that was a big thing. My dad was a college professor until I believe 71 or 72. He loved his job as well. He never wanted to retire. Why did he? Because he got up there and physically he didn't think he could really be up to par with what he wanted to be anymore. 72 years old, he absolutely loved his job. He was still working full time till 72. I have a good friend who was working at the same company, music company I was, until he was 73. Why? Because he loved it. So guys, if you are in a job that you love, don't retire. Yes, it's a retirement channel, but I'm here to tell you, do not retire if that's your situation. Hey, for those of you who see me for the first time, my name is Duane, and this is a retirement channel for people on moderate income. If that's something you like, think about subscribing and like the video as well. So what kind of jobs are we talking about? You might be saying, you know what? I have never, ever had a job in my whole life that I would never consider retiring from if I was ready to retire. Here's 12 examples of that. And tell me as we go through these, what is the common denominator in these jobs? I'm sure you'll be able to see it pretty quick, and let me know in the comments. Also, let me know in the comments if you are in one of those jobs that you never want to retire from, that you absolutely love it. So here is one of 12 examples of this. Number one, just like my dad, here's a man, and I'm getting all these from Reddit. Here's a man who's a tenured professor at a little college. He works 3 days a week and loves it. He never wants to retire at all from his little college in what he calls a little town in the Midwest. He absolutely loves it. Think about it, guys. If I wasn't up here in the high desert, and if I wasn't in a long-term relationship, I would have probably moved to a college town once I retired. You get culture, you get all the youthful vibes. You can go to classes for free if you're a senior citizen at a lot of these colleges. Man, I would love it. Absolutely love it. Here's number 2. Here is a woman who is a family therapist and really enjoys helping couples make amends, helping couples with their problems. She's nowhere close to retirement. I think she's in her 60s because she loves what she does. She gets so much value, so much purpose out of doing what she does, talking to people about their problems, helping them reconcile in a family situation. That sounds great. Here is a man who is a cinematographer for films. He will never retire unless, he says, his eyesight deteriorates sufficiently to where he can't do his job anymore as a cinematographer. Sounds pretty exciting. Yeah, it's entertainment. Guys, one thing, if you have a job in entertainment, it's not like a real world job. Once you have one of those jobs, you are spoiled for 95% of the other jobs you can get. I know, I was spoiled. So the 3 jobs I had after my 20-year career in music industry, they were each a couple of years each. I was spoiled for a regular everyday job. I didn't like it. Here's another one. Here is an IT professional who works only 20 hours a week. He went down from his full-time position as an IT professional to only 20 hours. He says that's good enough for him. He doesn't want to retire. He wants to continue doing that. Number 3, here is a lawyer who also went from a full-time job as a lawyer to only working, again, 20 hours a week. Here is a woman who has a small chain of holistic dog boutiques. She never plans on retiring. This is her own company, though, okay? She's not just a normal employee. She gets a lot of satisfaction out of doing that. And on top of it, she loves animals. Here is an archaeologist who cut back from a full-time schedule to, again, working only 20 to 25 hours a week. Has no plans on retiring. Here is, talk about a specialized job, a petroleum geologist who, again, has cut down from a full-time schedule to a part-time schedule where he's working 15 to 20 hours a week. He has no plans on ever retiring. Okay, now, as I've said on this channel before, and you can probably see what the common denominator is on a lot of these, right? They are cutting back from full-time, not all of them, but some are cutting back from full-time to part-time. Now, if that's your normal job, if that has been your job for 10, 20 years, I don't really consider that retiring. You're still doing your same job. Even though, in most cases, I believe you are retired if you have retired from a full-time 40-plus hour work week. Anything after that, you're still retired. This is kind of a fuzzy area because we're talking about jobs they had full-time and just reduced the hours. Okay, let's go to another one. Okay, this guy builds space robots, but he only does it 6 months a year. Again, going from a full-time position to only do it a part-time. Space robots. What kind of a cool job is that? Here's the next one. Here's a man who has been consulting for years, and he loves it because he can be as full-time as he wants, or he can take time off. He's a consultant. He's not a normal employee. He is working for himself, and he has no plans of retiring. Here is a doctor that cut back from his full-time business to now only work part-time, seeing less than half of the patients he was before. Okay, again, the common denominator. People that were working full-time, whether they owned the company, whether they were just employees, whatever, and they cut back to part-time. I think that's more common that you're going to find people never wanting to retire from their job than you would find a lot of people willing to still work 40, 50 hours a week and never want to retire. Now, my dad was an exception. As a professor, worked full-time till 72. Okay, my friend worked full-time till 73 in the entertainment industry. Those are exceptions, I think. Here's another one. Here is a man in his 80s who owns his own business, and he is still working full-time in his 80s. That's an exception. Okay, yes, that is a big exception. So guys, as you can see from all these, I think I went through 12. There are a lot of different jobs that you can have, and it doesn't even come down to a particular kind of job or a particular industry. It's whatever you like to do, whatever will give you satisfaction, whatever will give you happiness, whatever will give you that socialization, the memory and the cognitive abilities that are still going strong because you're working full time. Or in the case of a lot of these, they have cut back on their hours. It doesn't matter what the job is, guys. It matters on what you want to do, on what makes you happy. As I said, if I was still in the music industry, I would still be working now. And I would be working full time because I loved it. Now, when I'm talking about loving your job, I'm not talking about just liking your job. Okay, if you just like your job, yeah, you should probably consider retirement at some time. But if you love your job, guys, again, don't ever retire. There's so many positives from that. What are you going to retire to if you have nothing to retire to and you loved your job? So for me, even though I talk about retirement on these videos, it makes full sense to me if you love your job to never retire. So there you go, guys, from the lovely, lovely high desert today where it got up to 91 and we're still in mid-March. That's why I live here. We got this.